right, we are ready for our second seminar for the evening. It is Jeremy Aaron and Daniel Lemon efficiently tagging out on out-of-state bucks. Let's welcome them to the stage. All right, go. Hey, I got a question for y'all right off the bat. We're doing out-of-state lunch here. How many of y'all played out-of-state? There we go. So we've got some that's done this before then. All right. I'm Jeremy Aaron. I'm Daniel Lemon. All right. So let's get this started, y'all. Let's go. There we go. All right. Well, when they asked us to do this, I got thinking, hey, what's in it for y'all out here? I'm 57 years old. It took me 50 years before I figured what I'm going to tell y'all right now. Time. I don't care how good a hunter you are. If you haven't figured out how to make time to go do these hunts, you're not going to kill deer. You've got to have a job that works around it. You've got to have a family that, if you're married with kids and stuff, you've got to figure this out, y'all. So,
time is very valuable. You know, most everybody here, you're working a job, 8, 10, maybe 12 hours a day. The rest of your time of the day, depending on when you get home, you got to take care of stuff at home. So you got to plan ahead and know what you can do to value your time, say in the fall, doing what you want to do. Like right now, I work 6 days a week, Saturdays. I don't really try to go nowhere or do a whole lot of stuff in the summer because I'm trying to value my time for the fall, so when I get to, say, November and I'm ready to go on trips and travel, I can be gone. I don't have to worry about being home, and everything's taken care of because I spend my time right now working for the fall. So I'm starting, say, February when deer season's over, working, making time, planning, getting everything done so that when that next November comes around, I'm free and good to go.
All right, go back to being efficient with your time here now. Oh, you know, research before we ever start going hunting. You pick a new state or something. Hey, we do a lot of cyber scouting. We do a lot of e-scouting. Oh, we travel a lot in summertime with my wife. We've been in all 50 states. I really like going to see in the country, just see how the habitat, see how the ground's laid out, y'all. Word of mouth.
Oh yeah,
pick a spot. You know, we get a lot of contact word of mouth. You may have family members. You may have family or something that's got land in a different state, and you say, hey, there's a contact to get together.
You know, you went, and a lot of this we're talking about is going out of state to a new place that, you know, you've never been, traveling, going somewhere and being efficient when hunting. And all this is kind of leading up to being efficient when you're going somewhere hunting and knowing your weapon. Say if you're confident with a gun, then look for places that gun hunting is, you know, easier to do, or look for places that allows gun hunting, because there's a lot of places that gun hunting, you know, it may be muzzle loader or rifle. It's not open to everything. I'm primarily a bow hunter when I go somewhere hunting, so I really take a lot of time practicing my bow, and I look for a lot of areas that are more bow friendly hunting wise.
And like I said, regulations. If you want to go to a place, check the regulations. A lot of times when we're going to a new state, we find an area we want to hunt, public land, go to DNR. Because a lot of times, some states are different. Instead of a statewide blanket of season opens here, this WMA is all the same. Some areas you find is bullet only. And that's one thing we really look for, is bullet only areas. But regulations, y'all, unless as we travel, and we try not to break the law. There's so many regulations, you got to watch it.
Yes.
Because there are a lot of little videos you think common sense, but there's a law there that you need to read and know.
Yeah, the fine lines and stuff. Yeah. A lot of fine lines.
And we'll get into that a little bit later here on taking care of deer and stuff like that.
Yeah.
It goes back to time. We put a lot of emphasis on time is when we go.
Yeah.
We call ourselves more rut hunters. We like traveling around the country chasing the rut. Like I talked to several of y'all guys here, y'all's ruts, you claim to end October. Our rut in Mississippi, where we from, is the middle of January. I mean, middle of Christmas on to middle of January.
Yep.
So look at that time frame. And we can spend from late October, all of November, all of December, all of January chasing rut somewhere in the country. So that's our style of hunting. And well, look at it. It's a lot easier to kill them when they're roaming on their feet, chasing the does, or looking for does. So that's why we say time. Time is very important. It's making that time, but they're going at the right time. Because I say, in every area, you've got about a 10-day window when you really kill a good deer. He's going to be up on his feet in that 10-day, and I'm not saying you can't kill him before that and after that, but to me, that 10-day window is the best time to kill him. And we really try jumping from this state to this state to this state to this state, trying to figure that out. And a lot of this word of mouth is asking. What about the weather, the rut moon phase? What you said about that?
Well, like I say, a lot of these trips planning around the rut, but the moon phase is another big time that we look at when a good peak move time is. And I know Jeremy, he likes what is it, 3 days after the full moon is what you like looking at?
I do, if it falls the right time of the year that year.
Right.
But yes, I'll pay a lot of attention to moon phase. I don't know about y'all out there. A lot of folks, say there's studies that don't prove it. I promise you, I get to hunt September, October, November, December, January, five moon cycles. You learn a lot from that.
Oh yeah. Especially being in the woods.
And it's not a guarantee now. It's not a 100% guarantee. It's way more than 50% way I look at it.
Right.
Weather.
We didn't talk about weather much.
Okay.
For us, we like looking, like last year I went to Ohio hunting, and it was end of October, but I seen a big cold front coming in, so I left 2 days before so I could get my scouting done before that cold front come in. And it all kind of worked out perfect because the moon was approaching a full moon, and the weather was pushing in, and it worked out right.
And you do a lot of your scouting. He does like finding 3 places. Tell him more about your efficiency, how he scouts when he gets there.
When I'm looking at a new place I've never hunted, I try to pick 3 public areas within an hour and a half of each other. And I call them my A, B, and C place. And once I get there, I find my 1, 2, and 3 choice. So, say I'm cyber scouting, I find a place, I go there and look at it. I got 3, I want to find 3, I guess you could say, areas or trees that I want to climb or hunt in. My number 1 spot is the place that I think is the highest, best chance, or best sign that I found that I think a good deer could be coming through there or whatever. But say it's on a north wind. Alright, well say 2 days, it'll be 2 days before we have a north wind. Well, I find 2 other places that I can hunt with different winds until that north wind comes in. So I'll hunt my 2nd and 3rd place until I have that right wind. Unless I've already killed, I may look up and kill something in one of my other spots. But I know that number 1 spot is the one that I want to be back in when the wind changes and I can get in there without being detected.
All right. Before we leave here, we've got to be efficient. Like I said, I've been doing this already at 40 years, traveling out of state. And I never would have thought 10 years ago I would have been an SUV car person, how I like to hunt. We've got our vehicles rigged up. We go by ourselves. We've seen it's way more efficient going by yourself than with a group. It's fine if you do with a group, but a lot of times a group can be distracting. I've went with him before. Me and him got to a place. He's gonna walk twice as much as me. He says, he got legs under him. I find my spot on the map before I get there, and I thought, well, I'm gonna hunt here. Well, he'll get scouting, and he said, man, I found a good thing here. I seen a big deer here. I just seen a big deer here. It changes my thinking that I'm looking at the wrong spot. And I see that, hey, that's not my style. Don't get away from your style of hunting out. You know your strengths. Hunt to your strengths, okay? Because I seen when going with him a time too. Then after that, I got him hunting by himself. And he sees now, because you're more mobile. Oh yeah. We got all of our stuff in the vehicle with us. We don't put a tent or anything out. We stay in that vehicle. We get to the truck that evening, we want to go hour down the road, other side of the state, we're in the gone. If you tag out, and you got a buddy there in the same vehicle, you're sitting there waiting on him. that just goes back to the way we sort of, over the years, has gotten where we're more efficient going state to state to state. I know a lot of y'all may be looking at one state, going hunt that state, but I promise you, after you get where you can do it, think about it, you got a week off. First day you kill deer in that tree. You're sitting there, and your buddies, you're sitting there waiting on them. You're wasting your time. It goes back to that time again. A lot of you got a week you took off. Like Daniel, he's done it this will be the third year. He basically got 2 to 3 weeks he takes off. You know, he's killed 2 out of 3 the first year, 2 out of 3 second, and killed 3 out of 3 last year. Yep. You know, that's getting pretty dang efficient. It's going to different states as much as never hunting, and he's killing mature deer. You know, he done way better than me last year. I think I hunted 5 and I killed 3 states. So, yeah. But I still look, if I do 50%, I'm going to tickle to death here. Oh, yeah. All right, before we go, here's one thing I'll basically say. I've done so much, I don't think, my first trip I do it. 2 weeks before I ever start, like I draw the Wyoming deer tag here, over September 14th. 2 weeks before, I'll get me a list of gear I think I need to bring. I write it down. You know, I just keep a pen and paper close to me, so you'll be surprised and be laying in bed and say, hey, I need to bring this, I need to bring that. Just write it down. Because I've got all this gear. But you get 500 miles away from home, you don't have this gear, and you need it, you're going to go buy it again. I know one year I bought 4 grunt calls. Because every time I go back home, I'd get it out and I'd leave it. I'd get back to the woods in a different place, not have a grunt call. So sometimes it's just little simple stuff like that, you know, and you don't think that. You like to bring a lot of your own food. What do you do?
Oh yeah, I cook a lot, and I'll freeze it, keep it in a cooler, keep it on ice, and usually I can bring enough stuff to last me about 10 days of food. But, and how I like to eat is I don't have to eat 3 meals a day. When I get up in the morning, I might have a little something I'll snack on middle of the day. I just kind of snack all day, a little bit of stuff. But at night, when I come out, I want something good to eat. And I cook a lot. I cook chili, soup, all kinds of stuff that I can freeze and take with me and warm up. That way I don't have to carry a bunch of cooking stuff and all that. But after 10 days, I'll go out at night. You know, I've kind of ate majority of my stuff. I'll go out at night, you know, somewhere and get me a little something to eat. But that's a big expense, food. And if you can cut down, say, half the time you're gone just by taking your food with you, that helps a lot.
Well, I like to make spaghetti. Yep. You know, I bring spaghetti and freeze it and put it in there. Hamburgers, y'all. I'm a big hamburger eater. I usually cook 8 or 10 hamburgers, and I can eat them cold. I get back to the truck and make me a hamburger. That's another thing I like to do. We got to get. All right, what we do when we get there is sort of. It's according to what time I get there. If I get there on the weekend, especially if it's close to the rut, you're going to have a lot of locals out in the area. You can learn a lot from locals, y'all, because they know that area way better than you do coming in there. A lot of times I've got my spot found that I think I want to hunt. I've cyber scouted. I call casing area out. I ride all the way around that sucker, all the access points and what's the closest way to get into it. And I see where everybody else is at. I see if they're overlooking something I'm thinking about. But I'm telling you, big bucks learn how to learn from hunters.
Oh, they pattern people.
Yeah, they pattern. They basically pattern. So you find something where everybody's doing this, look for the odd corner somewhere. Because I promise you, if folks have been doing that all the time, that mature deer is going to learn how to get away from that. He's thinking something different. So that's me. I think the last 2 years I've got to go 65, 70 days in the fall hunting. I run into maybe 5 folks a year in the woods. But I go in for daylight, I come out after dark. I just don't run into people, y'all. You know, a lot of guys say, man, there's a lot of folks on public land. I don't see them. I stayed gone 28 days just a while back. Went up through southeast Minnesota and all the way to Montana. I basically turkey hunted Minnesota, turkey hunted eastern Montana, I bear hunted Montana, I prairie dog hunted Montana. I've seen 2 hunters on that whole trip. They're not out there. I know a lot of folks say, yeah, they are, but I stay away from them big crowds, y'all. That's just what I do. Actually, the other thing after Daniel gets there is that boots on the ground. We basically sort of went over that a little bit while ago. He does that scouting. Let's get to our gear. We got our arsenal, our toolbox.
Oh, yeah, and we got a lot of toys in that toolbox to take with us too.
And when we go through a show like this right here, I'm walking looking for something that will help me.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of y'all are doing the same thing. You know, if you've watched any of our videos here in the last year or two, we're big hunting water. We got a little boat. Chris, we got them striker boats here. I love that boat. I use it a lot. Or a little alpaca, little pack rat. Yeah. You don't see a lot of that. That pack rat weighs 8 pounds.
Oh yeah, I throw that on the back of my backpack with all my saddle stuff and camera gear, and I'll walk in. I think in Ohio last year I was walking in about half mile and crossing a creek, and then going another 400 or 500 yards and hunting. I was getting away from everybody.
See, that's where it goes back where we think different.
Yeah.
You know, I'm looking for gear that'll help me think different from everybody else.
Right.
Because that's word with them boats, y'all. It can, if you watch any of my videos, you see I'm turn over one. I've had one stolen. It's not the perfect scenario, but it will get you away from people. So that's a lot of our gear. The saddle stuff, just to really be mobile. All right, we back to the hunt, the weather. We sort of went ahead and said a little of that. All right, the set. I've got a philosophy. How's your set?
Most of the time, when I find a place, I give it a day and a half. I want to hunt it a full day, and then usually, say I hunt it one morning to one evening, I'll hunt it the next morning till about lunch. If I ain't seen what I think I should be seeing, I'm down, I'm moving, going, looking for something else. Because I feel like too much time on the spot, it ruins it. Because there's deer coming through after dark and other times when you're not there that's knowing you've been there, and when they come back through, they're wary of it.
And we bump back and forth. We talk to each other every night when we're traveling to different parts of the state. Over the years, probably 80% of the bigger deer we kill in the first or second set in that spot. It just seems like that works better. So that's why we like going in here and, hey, we may set up over there today, but we may move a couple hundred yards here the next day. Especially with our camera gear and everything. I love going in after lunch, setting up, leaving my platform, everything in the trees, so the next morning I can get right up in there early. But if I don't see much at lunch, I'm going to move. I'm keep replicating that.
And a lot of it depends on the wind. See if we got a wind switch too.
That's right.
So we may not have, like I said earlier about when I find that one spot, I may have that north wind, it may not be but for a day, and then I have to get out.
Yes.
Or for a half a day.
And it goes back to the other spots you sort of,
yeah.
That's where it sort of helps when that's scouting. Because, like I said, the technology nowadays with phone and weather apps, you can pretty much tell general wind direction. But you may have terrain structures that say it's north wind. I've hunted a place where it's north wind, but it's coming over a big hill. It'll be blowing south over that hill. It'll barrel roll. It's like water going around the curve. A lot of times it's running backwards. You know, but you know them areas. You know, after you get in there and you hunt it, you're looking for that wind direction, stuff like that. All right, say after we got an animal on the ground, we found a spot, we got an animal on the ground, that's where we go back to regulations, y'all. There's a lot of different regulations in this country. It's not the same. Some of them you got to tag them before you ever move them. And that's so hard when you film and you want to take pictures and everything. And we do that. We got a good pack we like.
Oh yeah.
That AK pack we're running, it's a little big for just the average thing. But we got all our camera gear in. So we can take all of our gear in, all of our saddle gear in, and we can come out with a deer with that thing.
Oh yeah.
That's where it comes back to some of these regulations of only one out. Because think about it, when you're traveling and going back across state lines, you can't have any kind of spinal cord. It's CWD. So you're going to have to do something. If you want to do a skull mount, you're going to have to get that brain tissue out of there somehow though. You know, a lot of guys ask, why don't y'all mount that deer? Why don't you mount it? That's one reason we don't. Because it's a lot of, you've got prepared to do that.
Oh yeah, especially in being gone as long as we are. It's hard to take care of a hide, keeping it good until, say we're gone 3 weeks, say we kill on day 2 or 3 in one state, and we're still going to be gone 19 more days. You know, it's hard to keep a hide good that long. Meat is a different story. Keeping it good, you can keep meat on ice. And keep it cold enough. A lot of what I've done got to do it now to keep it off the water, especially being that long with the ice melting on it, is when I kill one, I got a food saver. I bring with me, and I got a little it converts truck. You can plug like a 110 into it, and I'll vacuum seal it. Like a chunk of meat, I'll put it in there, I'll vacuum seal it, put it in a cooler, and put ice on it. That keeps it cold, but keeps it off of the water. I do that a lot. That keeps it cold for a long time.
Because we do get this question asked a lot. What do we do with meat on them 2-week trips, 3-week trips? A lot of times we kill right when we're first there. There's a lot of places you can donate your meat. It's 100 for 100. If we kill you the first few days or so, we will do that. We go to these processors. You can go to most of the Game and Fish website and see the list of processors that do that. And a lot of times we'll just pay the processing fee for it, where they're going to give it to you. But after that, we leave it on ice. I just leave mine on ice and let it drain. But you got to think about it. When we're hunting, most time it's cold at that time of year. I killed a buck, I don't know, a couple years ago. That night it got down to 8 degrees. I had him bone out. I just opened my cooler up that night, left it on top of the car. Next morning it's froze hard as it could be. I was gone 2 weeks and I nearly put a bit of ice in that cooler because it below freezing the whole time I was gone. Now if you're in the south, kill one first bow season, you can't do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But usually when we're hunting the rut, it's November, that October, November when it's cold.
Yeah.
So
Ice lasts a lot longer then.
yes. Yeah. All right, y'all. Well, that's the basis of what we do. I'm hoping to give some of y'all some ideas. A lot of our show is a lot of us trying to pass knowledge on to you, and we've had a lot of guys come up to us and one little bit of something we said, they take it and run with it. That's what we do this, y'all. That's why I love going in here to these shows and telling what I've learned over 40 years of hunting out of state. He's been doing it for 4 or 5 now, and he's dang good at it. So, have you got any questions? I hope y'all got questions. We can answer questions good.
Here, if you guys have questions, could you come to this middle aisle and speak it into the microphone right here? And that way it'll be recorded for our audience as well.
Well, Jeremy, you were talking about the moon. Were you talking about the red moon?
Well, I don't really call it a red moon. I don't, here's how I hunt the moon. I hunt the moon by position of where it's at. Straight up, straight down, major time. When it's rising, when it's set, it's minor time. When we say hunt the moon, example, say we get there today, and the major time is, it's going to be when the major time when the moon's going to be straight up or straight down. It don't matter if it's quarter moon, half moon, full moon. Well, look at it. If the prime time is like from 4 to 6, most time it's 2 hours on the major, and a little over an hour on the minor. I'm going to put a lot of priority on that time. I may do all my scouting before that, but when I find that good spot, I'm finna hunt there. Same way if I'm hunting around home, y'all, where I got some chores to do, I got some work to do. I could do it this morning, I could do it this evening. I'll look at that moon chart. When's the best? When's the best year moon? Now, red moon, when you get around that full moon, I do like hunting, especially when it falls. Say if you're rushing November the 10th, and it's been the fall of that November the 8th, November the 12th, right in there. What it's going to do is give you a lot of good midday activity. Because that moon's going to be straight under you. And you're going to get, well, you're going to get a lot of that movement at midday.
So while other people think about questions, I'll ask a question here too. If you guys are using this mic, by the way, make sure you put it pretty much right up to your chin. But when you guys go into an area, when you guys go into an area and you've done your e-scouting and everything like that, you expect it to be a lower pressured area, potentially overlooked. I'm sure you've come across a scenario where there's a lot more pressure than you initially thought. Are you guys going to back up areas? Are you trying to dodge that pressure? Or what's your game plan when one of your expectations kind of gets turned away in a different direction with the example of pressure?
Well, that goes back to when I say I find an A, B, and C area. Because whether it wasn't signed that I found, let's say I got there and there was way more people than I was expecting, okay, I got plan B. I can go there, and if there's still too much pressure, I got plan C. Most of the time, by plan B, I never have to go no further. I never really went past plan B, but I always have plan C, or area C, whatever you want to call it, just in case. But like I say, I hardly ever go past area B, whether it's pressure or finding the sign that I'm looking for.
One thing I can say about that is learn to hunt pressure. I use pressure a lot of times to my advantage. I'm definitely gonna get in peach points. But a lot of times the average crowd, they may get in their daylight. They're gonna come out at 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock. They're not gonna stay all day. And then a lot of times they leave, well, come back in at 2 or 3 o'clock. Use them, because if they bump deer, then deer gonna move. So if I'm in areas like that I know there's a good deer in there, or I know there's real good sign in there, I'm really gonna find places I think the pressure will help me. I'll look at it.
You guys being from the deep south, and you travel out of state a lot, what do you travel for? Are you looking for better opportunities, better quality deer? You know, what makes you travel out of state? And then when you're picking a spot, what do you think that you're bringing to that spot that is more of an advantage to you? What are y'all bringing from the south to the north that you think is allowing you to get on bigger deer?
Knowing how to hunt pressure.
Well, hunt pressure, and we know when we go further north, or not further north of us, you're a southern guy, deer get bigger.
Oh yeah, bigger deer.
You take a 3-year-old deer in Mississippi or Louisiana, where you're from, and you go to Kentucky, Indiana, a 3-year-old deer, you know, he's gonna be bigger body, he's gonna have bigger horns. It's just, the habitat's different.
Oh yeah.
They just are.
They ain't near as hard to kill either. And the reason I can tell you that is I've hunted out of state for 4 years and I've killed 3 bigger deer hunting out of state than I've ever thought about seeing in Mississippi.
I've never killed a full young buck in Mississippi. And I've killed a few of them out of state, and I've made multiple states. So that shows you the difference. Now with a gun, I've killed some decent deer in Mississippi, because our seasons are different. The South is a gun hunting. We grew up gun hunting, y'all. Y'all guys up this way, you had that bow season during the rut. I always say, look at the state, when is the rut? The major season that's during the rut, that's what most folks is going to do. You can go any state you want to. Look at Iowa. We've got a lot of diehard bow hunters, because their bow season during the rut. Their firearm season is after the rut. You sort of see that. You know, I'm a gun hunter at heart, y'all. I grew up with a gun. But I love to bow hunt these other places, because
It's during the rut.
it's during the rut, and everybody else is using a bow with them. You know, you try bow hunting in the South,
When everybody's got guns, yeah. He's fixing to get shot 200 yards from where you are, yeah.
that's the difference between the South and the North. And we're a lot thicker. Now, it's pretty thick here, coming up through here, it look like. They have a little bit of thick like that, but they're not nothing like our cutover in the South. You know, you shoot a deer in here and hard shoot him, and he run, and you know he's in this building. You're not allowed out there to find him. You know, and I know that's sort of hard to show video-wise, because you don't see a lot of guys coming to the South filming on public land. Because it's hard. It's just super hard. I ain't saying you can't come in there and do it. It's a lot easier to come in this more open country, especially the Midwest. And well, like Sam said, we don't have stickers for our bushes, green briars. We got some virgins, y'all. They get to latch on and they'll get you.
Oh, yeah.
But I got one other thing about it I want to say. All this traveling I get to do, it's a lot of it's family oriented. A lot of you got wife and kids, or if you're younger and you don't have wife and kids. I've been married to this lady for 33 years, y'all. She don't want to get up here and say anything, but y'all, I promise you, I couldn't do near as much hunting as I get to do if it wasn't for her. So a lot of it, you're going to have to balance that, y'all. To be efficient, going out of state, that's got a lot to do with it right here, y'all. I know some guys may not think that, but I promise you, you learn where you can balance family life and traveling, because that's one thing I've seen by traveling and meeting hunters all over the country. We've got one thing in common. We love to hunt. We absolutely love to hunt. And if we can't do it, we're miserable. And that's I hope this is what this seminar help you come to out of state. Like I say, come by the booth here too. You got anything you want to say? It's gonna have anything, but have y'all got a question for a hunter's wife, as many states as I've been in, that you want to ask her? Because I've tried getting her on the show time too, and you'd be surprised at the people that said, man, thank you for that. I have the same trouble, because hey, y'all, we've had our ups and downs. Because it's doing this hunting and everything. Raised 3 girls. Very proud of how our girls turned out. But a lot of it's, a lot of it's important is me getting to go do this, y'all. I really won't get that in a lot of young guys' is head is tight. Stick with it. There'll be some ups and downs, but the rewards are on the backside of it. You got a good woman at home too.
Yeah, I got a question about when y'all are scouting an area. A lot of times when I go in, I'll see some really good sign, and then I'll keep going around the area, and then I go too far, and I'm like, this don't look good, and then I hate going back to the area, I hate backtracking the area. So I'm wondering, how do you all minimize pressure while you're scouting? Like, if you see a really good area, it seems like last year especially, I always went a little too far and I came back and I felt like I was kind of putting too much of my ground scent around. What are some of the things that you all do to minimize that?
Well, that's sort of how my scouting's a little bit different from his. We was talking about this earlier. He's got the legs to go really scout. When I find that one spot that I say that I know a fund's coming in the next day or two, and I'm looking for a north wind or a west wind, northwest wind, when I find that spot, and I say, man, there's my kill tree. Wind's out of the north. I found a tree right here, the trail right here. That's my spot. I don't look no further because I've learned myself, if I find one here, I go a couple hundred yards over here, I find another one. I go over here and I find another one. Like you're saying, I'm putting scent there. My weakness is, I set up in the tree this morning, I don't see nothing. I get thinking, I need to go over there. I need to go over there. So I learned, I don't try finding too many spots. Because the more of this you do of it, your sense of getting you is like, hey, this is a spot. It's just a matter of time and being here at the right time. That's the way I look at it. I don't know if you got a little different philosophy.
Yeah, I mean, I'm almost completely opposite of you, because when I go somewhere, I really don't care. I'm going through it. I'm going to find what I've got to find, what I want to find. If I have to go through the whole place twice, once I find it, I like to try to get out of there if I can for at least a day, and then I come back in there. I don't necessarily worry about walking through an area, because you got to think about it on public. There's people walking it all the time. Deer don't think nothing about somebody walking through. It's once you get in a place and you're going back and forth consistent too much, in my opinion, is when you start getting those deer wary of that spot.
So you have a week to hunt. It's the pre-rut. Are you hunting buck sign? Or are you hunting deer sign?
I'm hunting more buck sign. I'm looking for that community scrape. That's my ideal spot is find cover. You know, it's food and bed pretty much year round. They're going to do that every day. But we don't go in and hunt a particular buck. If I go in and I find a big community scrape and there's a big track in it, if there's multiple big tracks in there, that's what I'm looking for. So I'm looking how I can back off it, especially that community scrape. I mean, it's just different. When you find it, it's just going to be a big one. It's going to be in a big travel corridor with a lot of deer sign most times. It's not going to be that isolated scrape off to the side. Then we find that terrain to use the wind. That's one thing we didn't really talk about is wind. You've got to give that buck the wind if he's wrong. Now, if he's chasing a doe, he's going to be falling hurt. But what we really like, what we've really learned the last few years with these big deer, they're pretty much going to be coming. If the wind's blowing in my face right here, he may be skirting here, he may be skirting here, but he's generally going this way. So you've got to find a natural barrier, a hill, water, something that he's got to skirt it just a little bit. And if you watch his Ohio hunt last year, he really laid a good one out and showed how there was a bend in the creek, and he basically said, hey, I need this wind right here for him to come up through there. It played it perfect, but he come with the wind up his butt. That's very rare. Very rare. But he had the wind, he had it played. But that's what you're looking for. To me, when we're going and scouting, we're looking for that perfect spot. That where we got the wind, and he's got the wind. And we're giving up just enough wind, say, the wind's blowing in my face. He's going to be coming from behind me back. We'll just say it's blowing that way. So it's blowing that way. And he's going to be coming from this corner over here, skirting by me, or he's going to be coming over here. You know, and another thing is a lot of times, a lot of folks say, man, why don't you shoot that deer coming front on? You know, we like shooting right in front of his shoulder here. Because most times, he's going to bust you deer that get by you. You know, that's another thing I want to say about that there is, a lot of times our shot angle is, you really know where to hit that sucker at. You know. Does that answer pretty much? Okay.
Yeah, I got it. I saw the episode where the guy took your boat and took a little joyride. Have you come up with anything to keep that from happening? Like, I've thought of like a cable lock or like an Apple AirTag or something like that.
Well, my bigger boats I do. That was just a little inflatable. I'll hide it better now. I didn't think anything about that trip. And see, that there don't really, it does have a strap on one side I can put a cable lock on.
But I mean, that wouldn't help because they could cut that if you
Yeah, that's what
wanted
they
to.
had a knife they could get in. The AirTag is probably the best thing, just stick it on there. And I do have AirTags on several of my boats, but I don't have that in there because it's, how it folds up, it's really no place to put it, they wouldn't see it. So as much as I've hunted, I've never had that happen but one time. Most hunters not going to bother your stuff. That wasn't a hunter there that done that.
Yeah, I keep hearing you all say when I find that spot. Well, what makes an area that spot?
Well, one is like my Ohio one. That was, and we'll probably go back to the Ohio one a good bit because really that was the spot. And the reason why it was the spot is because the way I played it out was I had a rub line coming up out of this thick bedding area. It come up and it turned. It made like about a 45-degree turn. Right there in that bend was where I wanted to be, where he made that turn and went up. He went between a big bluff and a field, and it was an area like a 50-yard strip that he was going to be going through. So I had got, because the rub line was straight north and south. So I waited and got a northwest wind where I could be at that corner and my wind would be blowing to his side, but kind of in his face. Once he got to that point where he could make that turn, it was going to be dead in his face. So he was having to give the wind up just a little bit where he couldn't smell me and I could be in bow range until he made that turn. Once he got to that point where he made that turn, there wasn't nowhere you could get past that he wouldn't smell you before he got there. But that, like you said earlier, that day, he come from the exact opposite way. Now that may not even been the deer making the sign that I was hunting, but it was one that I wanted to shoot and that's the one I shot.
What I look at when I've hunted enough places, I've killed deer in enough places, when you see that spot, it clicks. You're like, hey, it can happen right here. It's just, you got to be the right time with that right wind. But like you said, it's sign's the main reason. When you see that sign and the tree in the right spot with the right cover, where you know your head good, it's just a lot of things sort of come together.
Questions at all?
We're almost right up. For Midwestern corn country, what are you picking for spots in the East Scouting that you're looking, that you think will have a higher probability of bigger bucks when it's 6,000 acres of all the same?
Well, anywhere you go, if you look at that transition, if it's just, hey, we got pine thickets in the south that's solid. So you're looking for, that's no different from cornfields that's solid. You're looking for creek bottom. You're looking for drainage, a little bit of cover. Where are they bedding at? When that corn's out, they're not bedding out in that wide open field. Where's the thick spots? So we're looking at that transition between that field and that thick spot. Is where I start at. When I'm cyber spout, I'm looking for, I hunt out of a boat a lot, so I'm looking for water access. I'm looking for water access out from that ag field just a little bit. It's what I'm good at, where I can go and find stuff.
I'm more of a transition hunter, like a super thick area. Say like a Kansas hunt I had a couple years ago, had this super thick CRP field. And then it was a narrow strip of hardwoods, and it kind of funneled them down right there. And I like to hunt funnels and pinch points too. That's another big thing that I look for. Because when you have deer that could be coming from hundreds of acres and then all of a sudden they got to be narrowed down, they have to come through say a 50-yard strip, that increases your chances a lot from taking all this big, like you could sit out in the middle of a big wide open woods or field or just a travel area that they could come pretty much anywhere, and then you fall them down into a 50-yard strip. When they come through it, chances of getting a shot's really high.
And like I said, when you cornfield, just look at the aerial there. You're going to see big fields, but there's going to be a transition line somewhere there, a creek. a swamp, a slough. There'll be something there that you're looking for. You know, that big cornfield, you're not gonna kill them all out of that big cornfield. You're gonna have to find that area to the side that these, like he said, they're getting pieced down in through that narrow funnel somehow. You know, I get asked all the time, how do you find a funnel in a river bottom? It's easy. Bend of a river. Another slough right here. You got a bend of a river and a slough right here. It makes a perfect pinch point. It could be a couple big old trees float over, and they're going around the edge of it. It don't take a lot of time. But if you just sort of get where you're looking at that, another thing I say in river bottoms, a little bit of elevation change. You know, everybody talking about hunting ridges and stuff. You take a 2-foot, I know y'all may not have big river bottoms up here like we got in the south. You take a 2-foot elevation change in a river bottom, species of trees change. A lot of different things happen on that little bit of 2-foot elevation because it don't get underwater near as much as out from it. A lot of times that buck will run that little bit of a ridge, scrape and stuff like that. So you're looking for just sort of that different. See, that ridge to me is like a transition. It's different from everything right out from it.
Questions at all? Dan, I got one for you. How many push-ups?
Hey, we can settle it right here.
Hey, how many of y'all got out-of-state hunts planned this year? There you go. Because y'all, I've done this long enough. I want to get as many folks involved, and especially when you hunt out of state, you hunt public land a lot of times. I know these type guys here are. The more we get involved doing this, the more to protect it for our kids and our grandkids, y'all. But I'm telling you, in 40 years of hunting out of state, it has changed a lot. You really look at the western mountain states, because I got started out there. Didn't turn the wolves out in Colorado. Them hunters didn't want them out there. They weren't the ones that done that. These city folks herded that in and done that. There's a lot of things that you don't think it can change federal ground in your area. I promise you, over time they can. I done a podcast with Cuz Strictly 2 years ago, and he basically said something that makes so much sense, y'all. 20% of the population are dire hunters, 20% of them hate them. Then 60% of the folks in the middle is the ones we got to keep satisfied, y'all. You know, a lot of times we don't think about it that way, but I promise you, we need to start thinking, hey, we don't want to offend them, but we want to get them involved in it, best we can. And, you know, that's my thinking, y'all. Because I want my grandkids to have the same opportunity that I've had. And I've had a lot of fun on federal land.